I love being back in West Africa. I used to spend most of my time here a few years ago. I'm now stuck in Johannesburg. Make it sound horrible, it's actually quite nice. But when I do spend time here, I always learn a lot, especially in Nigeria. It's a very innovative and vast market as well. I mean, there's more MTM subscribers in Nigeria itself than there are people in South Africa. So I always like to learn, and I'm looking forward to continuing to talk to you, some of you, as we go through. So today I'm just looking to give you an overview of who we are as MEF, what we do, who I am, and look at what we're doing specifically in the mobile money industry, mobile money space. As you go on, we'll see that we do operate quite generally in the mobile industry, and mobile money is just one of many things that we are currently looking at. So this is me, Jo. No E, I am female. I often get a Mr. Crawshaw. This is my email. I'm not actually in the agenda as it is, so do jot down my email. I'll be around until the end of the day. Do come and speak to me. I do have my card with me. So, MEF, essentially we're a membership-based global trade association, and we look to shape, monetize, and connect. Really, we do that through three main areas. We like to encourage debate and conversations that industry really needs to have. And we like to provide research that you'll see some of today, and analytics as well, and tools and resources that mobile players can really use to kind of build their own growth. And finally, we look to provide ongoing business partnership and networking. We have a very broad and regular schedule of events around the world. So really my role as the GM for Africa is kind of a neutral mediator. I try to facilitate and encourage players to have often difficult conversations. As you'll see, we have a lot of competitors actually who, I pretty much force them around a table and say, look guys, there are shared solutions and shared challenges that we can actually work together to solve. So just a little bit of our history. We were established in 2000, jointly States and London. Initially, we were looking at focusing on developed markets and bringing together industry players from around those. Over the last 14 years, however, we've expanded both in terms of our scope and what we offer as an association, but also geographically as well. So moving steadily across the world and growing in these markets. We were initially launched as the Mobile Entertainment Forum. We are now much more known as MEF, partially because we are looking at the industry in a more holistic manner. So rather than solely entertainment, it's mobile content and commerce as a whole. So just over a year ago, we launched in Africa. It was great. We had some really positive feedback straight away from players who saw the need and the value for a neutral party that could look at opportunities and challenges that were shared. And this is a very colourful depiction of how our membership base is kind of made up. So member diversity for me, it really guarantees a holistic and evolving perception. And being a broad church, I think, has always been positive. Not only it ensures that we're addressing issues of relevance to the entire industry, but we can also help network and directly create business partnerships that weren't perhaps there before. So whether you might be a big global brand such as Coca-Cola who work with us, who are looking to use SMS for a campaign. You might be a bank looking to speak to some of the wallet guys. You might be a content provider that needs to be put in touch with new operators in different markets. So we really like to be that link to help these people and these companies really grow and get to the next level of their evolution. So I'm very lucky to have a very strong and supportive steering committee behind me. It's made up of lots of our different members from across the African region. It's not an onerous task, but it is an important one. We generally tend to meet once a quarter, and they're in charge of really driving the direction, choosing what they want to do. That's not my job. I just help them do it when they choose. So really one of my aims and goals is to make this steering committee more geographically representative. At the moment, it's representative in terms of different players and stakeholders across the mobile value chain, but geographically, I'd really like to grow further. So what do we do? This was a difficult slide to put together, but overarchingly, globally, consumer trust and monetization can be said to be what we look to focus on. As you can imagine, given our broad membership base, we do have a lot of different voices, a lot of people wanting to look out for their own best interests, and naturally so. For Africa specifically, mobile money and m-payments is obviously huge. And even within Africa, not one region, but many regions, and the diversity of that is certainly a challenge. So when I sat down with my members and my steering committee, and I said, so what can a neutral body like MEF help you with in the mobile and m-payment market? I was bombarded. So we debated and we argued and we sat round tables for a long time, and eventually we came up with a list that looked a little bit like this. I think some of these things have already been covered off during the conference. Today, what I'm going to be talking about and focusing on is the top one, the actual best practice for accelerating market adoption in m-commerce. So when we looked at this, I went away and I spoke to one of our members on Device Research, who are a fantastic research company that look at mobile trends. And we put together a global report, and just to kind of dig deep into what we really wanted to do. You know, what are the big trends in mobile content and commerce, and specifically in mobile money? Now in Africa, limited resource unfortunately, so I had to choose 3. I chose Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, based on feedback from my steering committee. I'm hoping that we can extend that as we go through. So this is, I love this slide. As you can see, in terms of our first question that we asked, who is actually using their mobile phone for m-commerce activity? How are people doing it? What are people doing? And Africa came out right on top. You know, we've got Kenya leading the race there, South Africa not far behind, and Nigeria. There's that Union Jack, pesky Union Jack in the way, otherwise it'd be even better. The British always get in the way, I'm allowed to say that. But really, really cool. And I think, you know, for the first time, our global members were actually sitting up and saying, okay, cool. Africa is doing some really, really great stuff in that space. This is also quite interesting. This looks at the percentage of consumers who are making high spend purchases. And this is purchases upwards of $150, which is it's quite a lot. Now, overall, globally, 39% of users have made such a purchase, which I think was quite high. But even more interestingly, I don't know if you can see at the bottom there, but Kenya and Nigeria, with Mexico in the middle, are still, they're kind of trailblazing. They're still leading the group here. South Africa, however, right at the bottom. And we haven't definitively looked into why this is, in terms of Pan-African comparisons. But one reason, and there are many, one reason that we were looking at was possibly due to consumer trust. We have a consumer trust report that goes out every year, and South Africa regularly comes very, very low. The consumer trust there for mobile payments is low, possibly because of the very sophisticated banking system. I think some of the players may need to play a little bit of catch-up when it comes down to the mobile payments. So after those really cool stats, I got very excited. I ran to my global board and I said, okay, can we do a deep dive into those countries, into those 3 countries? Can we look at what's happening on a local level? So that's what we did. We went away, worked with another research agency, looked into Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa. Now, the Kenyan report has already come out. We launched that at AfricaCom last year, and it came up with some really, really cool stuff. Nigeria and South Africa is still to come. So in terms of our Kenya report, I'll just share a couple of outcomes. We asked respondents, what's the greatest opportunity for market growth? So 87% ranked M-payments right up there. Possibly not surprisingly, Kenya being the poster child of mobile payments. But it does show continued optimism in that space. And what I'm looking forward to is seeing whether Nigeria and South Africa feel the same way. Then we looked at the actual sectors, and the banking sector came out again on top. We then have advertising and entertainment, a little bit lower, and you've still got those kind of taboo areas like betting and adult entertainment down at the bottom there. So as I mentioned, this is a 3-country report, and we're still surveying for South Africa and Nigeria. We do have a couple of, I don't know if you can see that at all. I will read it to you. We do have a couple of little teasers from the Nigerian report. So the top 3 opportunities for market growth in terms of Nigeria: mobile payments, mobile advertising, and freemium ad-funded mobile entertainment. And then the top 3 sectors offering greatest opportunities: games, music, video as one, banking, and advertising. So not dissimilar to Kenya as it stands, although we are seeing more of a trend in the entertainment space and the gaming space for Nigeria in comparison to Kenya. However, as I said, we are not done. We need you. I think I may have made that big enough for you to see, but I need you to go to this link and spend 7 to 10 minutes of your time to help us out with that research. From my perspective, I want it to be as statistically relevant as possible, as valuable as possible for our members in the industry as a whole. In return, you will get free copies of all the Africa reports, entered into a prize draw for a very cool smartphone, and my eternal great gratitude, which is worth something, I'm sure. So just to finish up, really, so as I mentioned, the Global Mobile Money Initiative is a broader thing. Analytics is great, but it's not all about the analytics. We have a goal to establish best practice matrix for accelerating market adoption of mobile commerce and money solutions. And we have good project champions already leading this in terms of Barclays Bank, Nokia, Rabo, Ooredoo, and Vodacom. But we're looking for more. Phase 1 has already started. We're working with a fantastic consultancy called Mondato. They have been busy researching and interviewing some stakeholders, top-level big dogs who have very varied but very in-depth knowledge and perspectives of the mobile money industry. Our next step will be to put that into a feasibility study and look at, okay, what does the industry need? What are the big issues? How can we help? And what do we need to do in order to get there? And so if any of you are interested in getting involved, it's open for all of our members. And we'll be looking at showing some of these findings at MWC in Barcelona as well. So please get in touch. This is our website, our blog, where I very regularly ramble, LinkedIn, Twitter, all of the good stuff. Thank you very much.